Hey, what's up you guys, it's me Luke and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post commentary and critique and reaction videos on basically anything on the internet that interests me, from pop culture to internet culture and anything in between. So if any of that interests you, then be sure to go ahead and click the subscribe button and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. Alrighty guys, so in today's video, we're going to be reviewing and ranking the albums of 2020 from best to worst. Now, if you have not checked out all my other ranking videos, I rank TV shows and influencers and YouTubers and stuff like that. So if you'd like to check them out, I'll link the playlist down below for your viewing pleasure. But like I said, today I'll be ranking the albums of the year. Now, I only have 14 albums on here because these are like the 14 albums that came out this year that I've listened to thoroughly a couple times. Obviously, I cannot listen to every single album out there, and also I don't enjoy all types of music. I'm mainly like into like pop and like R&B. So like those are the albums that will be reflected today. So yeah, I'm sorry if your favorite album is not on here, but I'm more than happy to hear about it in the comments down below. Alrighty guys, let's just get into it because I'm about to dive in to these rankings. So we have 14 albums to get through, and then these are our different categories that we're going to be ranking them in. We have the top tier, which is iconic, then a bop, then meh, then disappointed, and then trash. Now, I don't know if any of these albums will get into the trash. I guess you'll just have to keep on watching. So first up, we have Positions by Ariana Grande. I love this album. I think it is such a great album. I'm so happy with it, and I'm like genuinely surprised because I was like not really that into it the first time I listened to it. This happens a lot to me with albums, is like the first time I listen to an album, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really know, because I'm still trying to like feel it out and like see how I feel about it. But Positions I've listened to several times now, and it is really good. It doesn't have the strongest opening with Shut Up, but it has an amazing close with POV, and all the songs scattered in between are really great. I love Just Like Magic. I love Safety Net and Obvious and West Side, and the leading single Positions I think was really catchy and a really good start for the album. The second single 3435 everybody seems to be obsessed with, but for me personally, it's nowhere near my top song on the album. My top three on the albums is definitely Just Like Magic coming in third, and coming in second Nasty, and coming in third Safety Net. I think it is such a great album and I love it so much. It is, you know, not very different from her previous albums. I feel like Ariana Grande is kind of getting like stuck in this like sort of like R&B trap voice, and I think it's a good voice and I enjoy it, but I would love to hear something different from her, similar to her first couple albums. While I enjoy this album, I think if we have a fourth album in this style, it's gonna start to get a little bit repetitive, so I would love for her to change things up. But I'm gonna go ahead and put Positions in the iconic category because I think it is really iconic. I honestly think it's really good. For me personally, the album does not have any skips. Speaking of skips, we have Wonder by Shawn Mendes. Now, I was looking forward to this one. I didn't have the highest of hopes because, I mean, the leading single Wonder was really good, which is also the title track, and I really enjoyed it. But then the next single, Monster with Justin Bieber, I thought was pretty mediocre. But then again, anything with Justin Bieber on I find to be kind of mediocre, but that's just my opinion. Oh my god, here come the believers. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, so I've tried listening to this album so many times and I try and enjoy it, but it's just not it for me. It's definitely my least favorite album from him. I think that he has much better albums, like his first and second one, especially his first one. I think his first one is probably his best album. I just thoroughly enjoy it. I'm just not really vibing with Wonder. Let me go ahead and pull up the track list so I can go ahead and tell you what are some of my faves, but like I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head because it just doesn't sink that deep into me. So I like Teach Me How to Love, I like the title track Wonder, and I like Song for No One. I also like 305. But honestly, there's no standout songs to me on here. Honestly, when it comes to this album, Wonder by Shawn Mendes, I'm honestly gonna put it in the disappointed category because I am a little bit disappointed with it, okay? Next up, we have Love Goes by Sam Smith. Sam Smith is a beautiful artist that I feel like doesn't get as much recognition as he deserves. His voice almost reminds me of the male version of Adele. Like, he's just got such a special, unique voice, and I thoroughly enjoy it. This album was a surprise. I don't remember if it was a surprise drop, but to me, there was not that much advertising for it, and it kind of like came out of nowhere. But I really enjoyed this album. I thought it was quite different from his other ones. But the singles on this album have been out for ages. We have Dancing with a Stranger with Normani, and then we have I'm Ready with Demi Lovato. I feel like those ones have been out for literally ever. But in terms of the songs that I like on the album, I like Young, I like Diamonds, and I like Forgive Myself. I think those are the top three for me. In terms of the rest of the songs, they're kind of like, it's like an in-between a bop and a meh for me when it comes to this album. I'm like trying to like justify where I want to put it. Like, he's had much better albums and I don't go back to it that often. So I'm gonna probably put it in the meh category, which I feel really bad for doing because I do enjoy it. But for me, I just can't classify it as a bop when I'm gonna compare it to the other bops that are gonna go in there, you know? Speaking of bops, we have Manic by Halsey. Now, I have taken kind of a hiatus from Halsey, but then when I heard that she was coming out with a title named Manic, and it was like about her experiences going through bipolar and her mental health issues and her relationships, and just very like mental health focus, which you guys know I'm a huge advocate for. If you listen to my podcast, Luke's Lunacies, I talk about my mental health over there and give advice and all that type of stuff. So I thoroughly enjoy this album and relate to it so deeply. She sings a lot about like feeling unwanted and feeling like she's like this back and forth in her mind when she struggles with her bipolar. And You Should Be Sad is like one of the best breakup songs of the year. Like, we have to give it to her. The lyrics are so hard. Like, I'm so glad I never gave you a baby. You just try and fill that hole in your heart with like money, drugs, and cars. It is such a good song. And I feel like Halsey gets like clowned on a lot, but this is a good album, you guys. Like, I have so many of these songs liked. I really like Graveyard, You Should Be Sad, I Hate Everybody, 3 a.m. and even Without Me, you know what I mean? Like, that's a really good song too. And I really enjoy all the different interludes. I think it just makes the album flow really, really well. And I just love this album. I think it's a really raw and real depiction of bipolar. And I think that she, you know, just has a really, really great depiction of mental health as well, even if you don't have bipolar. I just think you can relate to it anyway. Like, just like I Hate Everybody. Like, sometimes you genuinely just feel that way. And then like, you know, being up at 3 a.m. just calling everybody on your phone, needing someone to talk to. She talks about being drunk and like kissing a bunch of strangers and like losing her phone and her wallet. I just think it's such a great album and like so raw and real. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a bop. You know, it's kind of like a sad bop, you know? I really thoroughly enjoy it. Next up, we have Ungodly Hour by Chloe x Halle. This album, you guys, this album was my world when it first came out. It was all I listened to, literally on a loop. I cannot even tell you how many times I've listened to this album. It absolutely does not have a single skip. If you skip a song on this album, I'm seriously judging you, because to me, this album is literally so iconic. I think that, you know, their first album wasn't it for me. Like, I kind of was like, okay, they're good, but like, yeah, you know, I'll keep an eye on them. But then this album, oh my god, it is so heavenly and like unique. It's such a unique sound. Like, it's pop and R&B, but the way they do it is just so unique. And the visuals of the album, this like futuristic badass angels, like giving me Charlie's Angels vibes, and like their performances that they did throughout quarantine were just so amazing. Let me go ahead and tell you some of my favorites. I mean, I guess I could literally just say the whole album. I really love Forgive Me. I love, oh my god, Do It is such a good song when you're out in the club and you're like, oh, when you're getting ready to go to the club. Oh my god, Tipsy, such a unique song, one of the most unique songs of the year. Ungodly Hour, one of the best, if not the best title track of the year. Busy Boy, or Bussy Boy as I like to say, such a fun song. Lonely, oh my god, Don't Make It Harder on Me. Like, this is such a good album. It is literally one of my favorite albums of the year, so I'm going to be putting it at the top of iconic, sorry positions. It's going to come in front of you. Okay. Next up, we have Kid Crow by Conan Gray. Now, Conan Gray is somebody who I've been a fan of for literally the longest time. I've been following him since he was on YouTube. I think I've like been known about him for like 5 years now. I just have to emphasize that I'm an OG. I'm an original, okay? And I love Conan Gray so much. His first EP, Sunset Season, was really good. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, so I knew that his first album was going to be great. I must admit that I don't actually love his first album as much as I love his EP. I prefer the EP. The EP just like hits harder to me. Kid Crow is still really good. Wish You Was Sober is such a bop that I play all the friggin' time. Maniac is really good. Heather's really popular. But honestly, I think Sunset Season is better, and because of that reason, I can't put it in the iconic category. I'm gonna have to put it in a bop after Manic, but I'm really excited about what Conan Gray has to come. So definitely keep an eye on him, guys, because he is one to watch. Next up, we have Chromatica by Lady Gaga. This is probably going to cause some controversy, but I feel like Lady Gaga did not deserve the hype that she had this year, and I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga. I've been a little monster since I was a little kid, and I think she is a pop legend and a pop icon, but Chromatica was just not it for me. I know there's a lot of meaning in there when it comes to like addiction and breakups and being vulnerable and like all these things. It's such an encompassing album, and I really love some of the songs on there, but for all in all, it was just kind of a disappointment for me, and I was really upset about that, because the lead single on the album, Rain on Me, was obviously the song of the year and won so many awards, and it was such a good song until it got overplayed. But the album itself, I was just like, this is not it. Let me go ahead and tell you some of the songs that I like. I think, actually, sorry, I misspoke. The lead single on the album was Stupid Love, which I, did not enjoy. Like, it was just not it for me. And I do like Alice. I like Free Woman. Babylon is good. 1,000 Doves is kind of a bop in the club. And of course, we have Replay. Replay is probably my favorite song on the album. I'd never come back to this album. Like, literally, I never listened to it. I think it would have been a good album if, like, we could go to the clubs and dance to it. I could totally imagine going to a gay club and having this album just, like, screaming and making my ears bleed in a good way. But honestly, I was just very disappointed from this album because I expect a lot more from Lady Gaga. I was not as disappointed as Sean because I didn't have as high of hopes for him. So I'm going to put her in front of him. Next up, we have Future Nostalgia from Dua Lipa. Oh my freaking god. Look, I always loved Dua Lipa, but like I had no idea that she had this in her, okay? Her first album was really great, but it was just kind of like, okay, she's just like another pop girl. She's not like, she's not like, what's the word, the phrase, like breaking the wheel, reinventing the wheel. She's not reinventing the wheel. But Future Nostalgia, like that's literally the most perfect name for what this album is, because it's like tying in futuristic sounds with like nostalgic sounds, like Future Nostalgia. And like, it just sounds like we're in the 80s, but we're also in like 2080. And I just think it's such an amazing album. And the title track of the album, Future Nostalgia. And the lead singles on the album, like Don't Start Now and Levitating. Are you kidding me? This is the best album to listen to when you're going for a run, when you just need like a pep talk, like something to like get you up. And I love every single song on this album. I have no skips. Let me go ahead and list off my favorites. So I would definitely say that my favorite, I love Levitating, I love Cool, and I love Hallucinate. I think those are probably my top three, but honestly, such an amazing album from Dua Lipa. I must admit though, I don't love all the remixes that have come out of this, and there's probably a little bit too many, a bit too excessive, like the one with DaBaby. Not really it for me, but I love this album. I think it is an iconic album. The question is, do I prefer it over Positions? I don't think I do. As good as it is, maybe it's because Positions is more fresh in my mind, but I reach more for Positions than I do for Future Nostalgia. But Future Nostalgia is such a good album for like working out or going for a run or at the gym, but just not as good as Positions. I don't reach for it as much. Positions is such a good driving album, okay? Like I have like different things for the albums, okay? Like for example, Plastic Hearts, which is next by Miley Cyrus, is like my shower album. I love listening to the songs in the shower and just like belting out my heart because there's so many emotional songs on this album. Now, Miley Cyrus is always a hit and a miss for me. Like I loved a lot of her album's bangers, but then she had this like one album that like no one ever speaks about. 2015, she came out with an album called Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. I tried listening to it the other day and it was literally giving me a headache. It is such a bad album. And then she had Younger Now, which was kind of a flop. And then to follow that with Plastic Hearts, like there is not a single skip on this album. What the F Do I Know as an intro? Amazing. Then we have the Golden G String as like the final, the closing song. So good. And then we have all of like the remixes of Edge of Midnight with Stevie Nicks. Are you freaking kidding me? Heart of Glass, Zombie, those like covers that she did. So good. And then like the emotional songs in the album, like Never Be Me. Are you kidding me? That'll never be me. Like, oh, and then like Angels Like You Don't Belong Down Here With Me. Like, are you kidding me? That's such a heartbreaking breakup song. Oh! And then like Plastic Hearts, such a good title track. Prisoner feature Dua Lipa, like such a good little collab that we have going on there. Nightcrawling with Billy Idol. Are you freaking kidding me? This album is just like a punk rock pop anthem that I'm literally obsessed with. There are so many emotional songs on the album. I like struggle to tell you what my favorites are, but I'm probably gonna have to say that my top three in no particular order is High, Never Be Me, and Angel Like You. Oh my god, I get so emotional. This album, you guys, I'm probably gonna like put this album at number one. Am I gonna put it in front of Ungodly Hour? That is a question and a half. No, I feel like Ungodly Hour was more iconic for me personally because I listened to it way more, but I love Plastic Hearts. But Plastic Hearts to me has like more meaning. But Ungodly Hour is like more iconic. I don't know. Oh my god, this is hard. Oh my god, this is so hard. This is such a hard question. No, I'm gonna leave Ungodly Hour at the top. I have to. This is where it's getting challenging, you guys. Next up, we have Sawayama by Rena Sawayama. I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this is a new addition to my music repertoire. I've only recently started listening to Rena and she is really good. She reminds me of like Y2K, early 2000s pop music, but like in a really, really great way. Like Avril Lavigne meets like Hilary Duff kind of, sort of. I don't really know where I'm going with that, but it's really, really, really good. And like some of the songs on there really, really shock you. Like she's got a heavy metal song on the album, which is Shut the F Up, and I think it's really good. I love XS, which is about like capitalism. Like, are you kidding me? Probably one of my favorite songs on the album. We have Chosen Family, such a good one. Love Me for Me, F This World, Who's Gonna Save You Now, Tokyo Love Hotel. Okay, top 3 is probably like Tokyo Love Hotel, Lucid, and XS. Those are probably my top 3, but it's such a long album, so there's like so much on there that you could listen to. It's an hour and 20 minutes, a little bit excessive, Rena, but I love this album. At this point in time, it doesn't really have any skips for me because I'm still like listening to it through and letting it like marinate in my bones. I think it's a really, really good pop album for me. But for me personally, I wouldn't say that it's like iconic level status. I would say it's just kind of like a bop. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it before Conan Gray because I actually prefer it to Conan Gray. This album at least. If it was Sunset Season, it would be a different story. Next up, we have After Hours by The Weeknd. Abel. You killed me with this album. This album was so emotionally raw about like breakups, addiction, which seem to be like the 2 most common themes in a lot of these albums, but that's neither here nor there. This was like the brother album to like Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia, but like make it sad. I would actually love to see The Weeknd and Dua Lipa like feature on a song together because I feel like they both have like a similar vibe when it comes to like the 80s music kind of vibe, but like also making it really like futuristic with their like sound effects. And I think that it really is it for me. And like some of the leading singles on this song, like Blinding Lights and Heartless, such good songs. And like obviously one of them went viral on TikTok, like Blinding Lights, and Heartless is just such a good song. But like my favorite songs on the album are probably Faith, Too Late, and Snow Child. I think those are probably my faves. But like no skips. Oh my god, this album cuts like a knife. And I'm gonna be putting it in iconic. I probably prefer to, I don't reach for it as often as I do Positions or Miley or Ungodly Hour, but I think I reach for it more than I do for, no, it's probably gonna go after Dua Lipa, but it is an iconic album, but it's really, really good. But it's just because I don't wanna be sad a lot of the time. I don't feel like crying. I like upbeat music, okay? Because music like seriously affects my mood. So I kind of have to like, you know, do what I do. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna save Taylor Swift for the end because like she deserves her own segment. Next up, let's do Sugar, which some say is an EP and some say is an album. I don't really know. But Sugar by Megan Thee Stallion. Now, Sugar is a song that you just want to shake your ass to. There's not like a ton of meaning to it. I mean, there's like women empowerment and stuff like that, which I think is great. And I think that Megan is like a really, really amazing rapper and like an up and coming artist. And like, obviously she had her feature on WAP this year, which was huge with Cardi B. And I, for a long time, listened to that song and dug it into the ground. I really like just beat up that song like it was a chicken breast that I was trying to, I don't know where I was going with that analogy, but really, really great song. And then we have Savage, and then the Savage remix with Beyonce. Like, Megan has had a fire year. Now, let me go ahead and tell you some of my favorites from this album. It says album on Spotify, but then it says extended play on Google. I don't really know. It's got enough songs to be an album. So we have Captain Hook. So funny, if you know, like, I don't need to explain what Captain Hook is. It's a, yeah, whatever. But that's funny. And then we have B.I.T.C.H., which I love. B.I.T.C.H. I love that song. And then we have Savage. Those are probably my top 3 of the album. Really, really great album. I'll be honest, I don't listen to all the songs on the albums. I don't really go to the album. I listen to like mainly the singles. But I'm gonna put it in a bop after Conan Gray because I reach for Conan Gray more, you know? But this is like the true definition of a bop. Where do I even begin with Taylor Allison Swift? Where do I even begin? The woman dropped a surprise album in July, Folklore, an album that told tales and stories and folklore, essentially. Okay, there is one skip on the album, and that's Epiphany, just because like that song just like drags, and it's like the Archer of folklore. It's just like too draggy for me, and it's about the pandemic, and I don't really feel like being reminded of like the state of the world every time I listen to some T-Swizzle. So I just like skip along that one. But the rest of the songs on the album, so good. So good. Like, The One is such an amazing opening. I love The One so much. Cardigan, A Song for the Fans, love that. The Last Great American Dynasty, probably one of my favorites on the album in terms of the beat. We have Exile feat Bon Iver. Like, are you kidding me when his deep voice comes in? Such an emotional thing. My Tears Ricocheted. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with that emotional lyrics? The emotional lyrics against Scott. Scooter, Scott, which one? I don't know, both, who cares? Literally irrelevant. Mirrorball, how like she just wants to like be who you want her to be, and like speaking about what it's like to be a celebrity. August, iconic, This Is Me Trying, illicit, Invisible String, Mad Woman, Peace, can we talk about Peace for a second? Oh my god, Hoax, such a good closer. And then we have the bonus track, The Lakes. It's like hard for me to even comprehend what my favorites are on the album. As you know, I just like listed every single one because they're that good. But for me, I'm gonna have to say top three, no particular order. It's gonna have to be Invisible String, Peace, and August. Chef's kiss, so good. Literally, this is the best album to listen to when you're falling asleep or when you're like going for like a long emotional road trip sort of ride. I love Folklore so much. One of my top albums of the year. I listen to it repeatedly, so I'm gonna put it at the top of iconic because it's what she deserves, okay? Then we have her second album of the year, her 9th studio album in general, but like her second album of the year that she dropped not even 6 months later after Folklore. She dropped it in December, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, already we had the surprise album, which was Folklore, which was insane. And then a second album, like absolutely no one saw this coming. And it's kind of like the sister album to Folklore, where the songs kind of have like a similar vibe, except I'd say that like Evermore is like more upbeat. I mean, the imagery for it is in color, so it's like not as depressing. But I love Evermore so freaking much. Obviously, it's hard for me to decide which one I like more. I'm gonna have to in a few seconds because it just came out and we've had Folklore for so much longer. But Willow is probably my favorite album opener that Taylor has ever had because it's just such a beautiful like rhythm where she's like, anywhere else is hollow, wherever you stray I follow. Like, it's just so good, and it just like makes me so happy and giddy. And like the music video with like the string, the invisible string, are we seeing the reference to Folklore? Come on, people. But then we have Champagne Problems and Gold Rush, two really great songs. 'Tis the Damn Season, perfect song for December. Tolerated, probably my favorite song on the album, I would have to say. Oh, that's a tough decision. Nobody No Crime feat. Haim. Are you kidding me? This is such a good song, but like literally killing someone's husband. Are you kidding me? And then we have Happiness, which is kind of like the epiphany of this album. I just go on and skip that. It's a little bit drony. We have Dorothea, which is just like fun and musically really beautiful. We have Coney Island feat. The Nationals, such great imagery. If there's one thing Taylor is really good at, it's like painting a picture with her words. She should write a book. Honestly. We have Ivy, such a beautiful song. Cowboy Like Me, bringing back that country twang. Marjorie, about her grandma. Closure, a really beautiful breakup sort of song. And then we have Evermore feat. Bon Iver, but like this time Bon Iver does his voice like different, and like it's just, oh, it's so beautiful. I'd say my tops all for the album in no particular order is Tolerated, Ivy, and Nobody No Crime. Such a good album. I'm honestly, oh my god, this is the part where I have to choose whether I like it more than Folklore. I just feel like at this point in time, it's more of a bop than Folklore for sure, but Folklore to me just feels more iconic, and I have so many memories attached to Folklore because I went on a trip when Folklore came out and I was like listening to it on the trip, and I was like in the forest, and like August is so special to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Evermore after Folklore, so Folklore will be the top song. So those are all of the albums ranked in my opinion and my review of them. This is probably not the best review because I'm not like that musically knowledgeable, but you know what, this is just my opinions. So I hope that you enjoyed them, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below your rankings. I would love to know. I'm very curious. Let me know what your top album was of the year and your worst album was of the year, or your biggest disappointment. I would love to know. And if you've not already, please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell down below below. And if you've not already, please make sure you follow me on all my social media, just linked down below. And if you'd like to support me further, you can subscribe to my second channel, subscribe to my podcast channel and listen to my podcast, buy my merch, or book a cameo from me. And yeah, guys, that's it for me in this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see my next one. And I think this is my last video of 2020, so happy new year, and I hope that you have an amazing 2021. 2020 has been a bitch of a year, so I hope 2021 is better for us all. But yeah, guys, that's it from me. Lots of love, and I wish you a beautiful day or night wherever you're in the world. Bye!